have been touting, and they are raising questions about sustainability, the fiscal balances that they have been touting, and they are raising questions about sustainability. I'm sure you've seen just yesterday the IMF issue their sixth review with some very, very, very worrying details, which we'll get into later. And so I want to encourage you that when we call these briefings, the matters that we speak to are matters that have been very well researched, and we encourage the nation to take it very seriously. Today with us is the NPP's Policy Committee on Energy. The co-chairs and other members in leadership have been introduced to you. Today, we seek to engage the nation through you to speak to about three major issues in the energy sector. Three major issues in the energy sector. First is the energy sector levies, and the claim that these levies were being enhanced in some instances so that they could clear the debt, and rather the report that the debt appears to be growing. Second, you've heard the government announce some fuel interventions, some fuel price interventions. What is the real cost? What's the implication? Who is paying for it? And what needs to be done? The committee has done some work and wants to share with the nation through you. And then thirdly, as I mentioned, there's a rising fiscal burden as a result of some of the things that the government is doing in the energy sector, and the committee will be speaking to it. I'll just give you a quick summary, and then I'll invite the Honorable Kwame Abuaje, who is one of the co-chairs, to now take you into details. So on the first matter of what appears to be a relief of 2 Ghana cedis, you notice that despite the cedi strengthening from about 14 to 11, petrol is now still about 5.7% above the January 2025 level, and diesel is still now about 24% above the January 2025 level. Even with a full 2 Ghana cedi pass-through, diesel remains about 11.4% higher. You also notice that this 2 cedi reduction for 1 month comes after about a year of a 1 cedi per litre across all products. And so this economics of you charge big and then you announce that you've reduced it marginally, it doesn't wash, it doesn't fool anybody. And our teams will be providing some more context to that. Third, this 1 month measure, it comes at a huge cost. If you add it to some of the things that they've done in times past, it adds up to a huge cost. And there are questions about who is paying for that cost. Again, our teams will speak to that in detail. Now, another issue we will be speaking to is the 2026 amendments that they have done to ESLA. Now, as I'm sure you have heard from us in Parliament, from our committees in Parliament, the fuel oil levy has gone up by about 1.69 cedis. Remember when the minister read the budget, he said that, they hadn't introduced new taxes, and that day we told you that even there they were telling an untruth, and that they were going to introduce a new tax. Later in the night, they brought the 1 cedi 69 pesos, and we think it has implications on consumers at the end of the day, even as they are announcing reliefs. Our teams will provide some more detail on that one. And then very finally, you've also, I'm sure by now, caught a glimpse of the fact that the World Bank has downgraded the energy sector recovery program. The World Bank is downgraded that since this government took office, the program is now unsatisfactory. Why? Primarily because a lot of the debts are not being paid, and if those debts are piling up while they are still collecting more money ostensibly to reduce the debts, there's some danger ahead of us that we want to speak about. Now, specifically, the New Patriotic Party will not allow the 1 month discount to be a substitute for accountability. The government will need to account properly for this levy and what it has used it for. And in filing urgent questions in Parliament, we will be looking for the details. Our committees will provide you some context to that. Now, we'll also be calling for a monthly monitor of the levy collections, refunds paid to industry, and pump prices against the exchange rate. And we'll also be engaging the transport unions, industry and consumer groups, and placing their burden squarely at the doorstep of Parliament. I want to invite the Honorable Kwame Abuaje, who is one of the co-chairs. He is a co-chair from Parliament. Kojo Pokun Safwa is co-chair with him. He will be addressing us in detail this morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and thank you for joining us We have called this press conference to speak to three connected developments. The government announced 2 cedis per litre reduction in diesel prices. The Energy Sector Levies Amendment Bill 2026 passed by Parliament on Friday, 31st July, midnight around 1 a.m. And the World Bank downgrade of Ghana's energy sector recovery program. Before we turn to the figures, let us say this plainly. We recognize the rare hardship that high fuel prices continue to impose on commercial drivers, market women, farmers, fisher folks, and ordinary commuters across the country. And the New Patriotic Party stands in full solidarity with them. It is precisely because of that hardship that these facts we present today matter. On August 3rd, that's 2026, GOIL posted petrol at 15 cedis 99 pesos per litre and diesel at 19 cedis 26 pesos per litre. In January 2025, petrol sold at around 15 cedis 13 pesos per litre and diesel at around 15 cedis 49 pesos per litre. Over that same period, the cedi strengthened from about 14 cedis 70 pesos to about 11 cedis 67 pesos to the dollar. Yet petrol today is about 5.7% higher than in January 2025, and diesel is about 24.3% higher. Even if the full 2 cedis reduction is passed through to the pump, diesel will still stand about 11 cedis for 11.4% above its January 2025 level. So let us be accurate about what this intervention is. It cushions part of the increase that has already happened. It does not reverse it, and it does not return households and businesses to where they stood 18 months ago. This relief cannot be assessed in isolation. On June 3rd, 2025, at 10 minutes past 11 at night, the government used a certificate of urgency to pass the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Bill 2025, imposing an additional 1 cedi on every litre of petroleum products. Our members of parliament opposed it and walked out of the chamber. The Minister of Finance assured Ghanaians that a strong cedi will neutralize the impact so that consumers will not pay extra at the pump. He promised that the projected 5.7 billion cedis in annual proceeds will retire energy sector debt and help end the cycle of power outages. That levy took effect on 16 July 2025, and it remains in force today. So consider the plain arithmetic. A consumer who has paid 1 cedi extra on every litre of petrol and diesel for more than a year now receives at best 2 cedis back on diesel for a single month and nothing at all on petrol. The 2 cedi reduction is not generosity. It is a partial temporary return to money already taken from consumers at midnight, while the levy continues to run. While the levy that takes it continue to run. The true cost and who pays it. The government described the intervention as a reduction in the regulatory margin rather than a subsidy. That distinction matters legally, but not economically. Foregone revenue is still a cost. On the basis of the earlier diesel program, which cost 800 million cedis over 2 months, this one-month measure implies roughly 400 million cedis in foregone revenue. Adding the earlier petrol relief of 99.4 million cedis, The cumulative cost of the stated 2026 interventions comes to approximately 1.3 billion cedis. That 400 million cedis in a single month is money that cannot simultaneously service energy sector debt, maintain rules, or reduce the deficit. If the intervention is unbudgeted, it widens the financing gap. If margins owed to industry are deferred, it creates arrears in the petroleum supply chain. There is no free relief. The only question is who pays and when. On Friday, that's 2026, July 31st, Parliament raised the energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy on fuel oil by 1 cedi 69 pesos per litre, from 24 pesos per litre to 1 cedi 93 pesos per litre, and extended the road fund levy to fuel oil. The government says this closes a misclassification loophole that cost an estimated 25 million United States dollars between January and June this year, and it promises refunds to eligible industrial users within 14 days. The anti-evasion objective is legitimate, but the framework is not yet in place. Government has not published who will administer the refunds, who qualifies, how refunds will be financed, or what happens to rejected claims. Companies must pay upfront and wait. That is a working capital burden on industry, and industry will pass it on. Which brings us to a simple question the government must answer. Where a company embeds the upfront levy in its prices and is later refunded, the company recovers its money, but the consumer who bore the passed on cost does not. Will costs previously transferred to consumers be refunded to them, and through what mechanism? If the answer is no, then the refund regime compensates firms while ordinary Ghanaians quietly absorb costs. The minister promised will never reach them. Then the World Bank's verdict. All of this is happening against a sobering backdrop. In June 2026, the World Bank downgraded Ghana's energy sector recovery program from moderately satisfactory to unsatisfactory. The combined losses of ECG and NEDCO have risen from $1.257 billion in 2022 to $1.517 billion United States dollars by May 2026, against a target of $525 million for 2027. The reasons cited include stalled reforms, delayed procurement, and weak governance. Ghana cannot solve a debt and arrears crisis by creating new hidden revenue losses. The questions we are asking the government, and he has to answer, is this. We therefore put the following questions to the government. First, which specific margins, levies, or taxes are being reduced to finance the 2 cedi diesel relief? And what is the total revenue loss? Second, has this been provided for in the 2026 budget? And what expenditure will be cut to offset it? Thirdly, what mechanism will ensure transport fares and prices of essential goods actually reflect the relief? 4, will the 1 cedi per litre levy remain at its full rate during the relief period? And will costs previously transferred to consumers be refunded? And fifth, what objective trigger determines whether this intervention ends, continues, or is replaced? What the new patriotic party is proposing is we support measures that genuinely protect citizens, but compassion without fiscal discipline is not sustainable policy. We call on the government to publish the full petroleum price build-up and the financing sources before implementation, to cap the intervention at a disclosed fiscal amount and report weekly on liters subsidized subsidized and revenue forgone, to prioritize targeted relief for public transport, food distribution, agriculture, and fishing, rather than an indefinite universal subsidy, to apply automatic sunset clauses with objective crude price and exchange rate triggers, and to pay industry claims promptly so that this relief does not become the next generation of arrears. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the 2 cedis reduction may ease the pressure for a month, but a 1-month discount on diesel, financed opaquely alongside a permanent levy taken at midnight and a downgraded energy sector, is not an economic strategy. Ghanaians deserve to know who pays, how the relief is financed, and how the resulting revenue gap will be prevented from becoming new debt. And we will not stop at demands. The New Patriotic Party will act on 4 fronts. In Parliament, our members will file urgent questions demanding the financing sources of the 2 cedis relief, the budgetary provision behind it, and a definitive answer on whether the 1 cedi levy will remain at its full rate during the relief period, and whether costs previously transferred to consumers will be refunded. In scrutiny, our policy coordinating committee will track and publish month by month the collections of the energy sector levies, the refunds actually paid to industry, and the movement of pump prices against the exchange rate, so that Ghanaians can see for themselves how much of the cedi strength is reaching the pump. With stakeholders, we will engage the transport unions, industry, and consumer groups directly and place the burden they carry on the parliamentary record. And in policy, we will put forward the alternative, a transparent, rules-based shock response framework with published price build-ups, disclosed physical caps, targeted relief for transport, food distribution, agriculture and fishing, and automatic sunset triggers in place of midnight levies and 1-month discounts. The question we'll keep asking, with the government's own figures in hand, is a simple one. Stability for whom? Until Ghanaians get answers, we will not relent. Thank you, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana.
So at this point, if there are questions, the co-chairpersons will respond to questions, and then we'll do a quick wrap-up. So if there are questions, we'll take them.
No questions?
When we say that we've been downgraded, sorry. My name is Ube. I work with GH1 team. When we say that we've been downgraded to unsatisfactory, for many Ghanaians, what does it mean? How does it affect us, the ordinary Ghanaian? How does that affect us?
So we all know that the energy sector is challenged. And one of the things that we all know that energy sector is challenged. One of the things the World Bank seek to do with us is to help us bring our energy sector to effectiveness. So under the Energy Sector Recovery Program and the agreement that was signed with the World Bank, there are certain benchmarks that we are supposed to meet. Now, World Bank is helping the government to initiate certain policies, clean cooking for rural folks. And there are supposed to be some timely data that is given out by ECG, and all that is part of the Energy Sector Recovery Program. Now, look, we've had a very big challenge, and we've all heard that one of the biggest sectors that can collapse Ghana's economy is the energy sector, especially in the power, because of the deficit of how much we are not paying and how much is costing the nation. So the World Bank wanting us to basically make sure that there's transparency, we are able to collect more, collection efficiency, and all the things that they think will give the energy sector, the power sector, a healthy situation. This government has failed. And if you read the report, that's where there's bits where monies that the World Bank has given to the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance is supposed to release that money for the project implementation. And if you read the report, they said that no commencement authorization has been given by the Ministry of Finance. Meanwhile, the money is with the Ministry of Finance. Now, the other side is that if we delay in implementing, you've all heard the projection of how much the debt can be in the energy sector. We are talking $10 billion dollars and stuff like that, okay? So the World Bank saying that we being downgraded to unsatisfactory means that we are not meeting the benchmarks that has been set by the World Bank, and that means that there isn't the improvement that we need in the energy sector, especially the power subsector. Please.
My name is Nabu. We all know that after COVID, the petroleum sector spread. In fact, prices plummeted into some of the heights. And the position that this has a true pass the then government. To paint the picture as if the problem was not being managed very well. Today, what we are being told now is that things are not being done better than before. So what is the accounting for that? Are they hiding something from us? Or is poor economic management and maybe poor energy planning policy?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Basically, look, I have always said on TV and on multiple platforms that the NDC did pop politics with the petrol prices. They said that the petrol prices were high because of bad economy, that we had a bad economy. The NPP government has run down the government, the economy was bad. When we had the mid-year review, Honorable Atofos, the finance minister, talks about all the rosiness, right? The economy is doing well, they are raising a lot of money to the extent that he's even put money away for projects in the future. So it's rosy. But the question is that this government is broke. They don't have money. Look, let me give you an example. Today, you have the one cedi that was introduced on top of the petroleum prices when they said that the petroleum prices were low. If they add one cedi, we won't see it. Wouldn't it be fair that while the prices are high, they remove that one cedi? The Ministry of Finance is refusing to touch any money coming to the Ministry of Finance. In fact, there is what you call the Price Recovery and Stabilization Levy, which was to be zeroed out when prices are high and brought back when prices are low. As part of the ESLA, the Ministry of Finance has refused to touch that money. In fact, now when we are a net exporter, because we export crude oil, don't we? We budget $76 in our budget. When crude oil goes over $100, who is benefiting? Honorable Finance Minister, why is he not, all that money that he is getting, why does he still can't take any money out of his purse? But he's trying to accumulate debt at the NPA. The last time we did this exercise, as my colleague mentioned, 800 million Ghana cedis was the debt at NPA. Yesterday, I was on TV3, and the ranking on the NDC side came on TV3 and said that his figure says 200 million. It's not true. We do 200 to 263 million liters a month. Simple calculation. Let's call it 260 million liters a month of diesel. Multiply that by 2. Isn't that 520 million? So how can you get 200 million? So they are massaging the numbers to tell you that the numbers that is even accruing at NPA is not true. But we know that if you go to the NPA website, we do 260 million liters every month. So in the 2 months, they did 1 month of 2 cedis and 1 month of 1 cedi. That gives us about 780 million Ghana cedis debt that is sitting at NPA now. Now they're doing another 520 million. You add that to that, it's more than 1.3 billion. And that is the debt that in the future they will ask me and you to now let them increase the primary distribution margin, the UPPF or the full margin or the boss margin to pay for that debt that's going to be at MPA. So the bottom line is that the NDC lied in opposition that, oh, the economy, the prices were high because the NPP was mismanaging the economy. It's not true. When prices are high in the world, it affects you whether your economy is well or not. In the UK, in the US, fuel prices, we all heard that Trump is worried that the midterm is coming in November and petroleum prices in America is high. The NPP managed the economy well, just that at that point, NPP did bad politics with that.
predicted also at the end of this year. So can you give a clear indication that this downgrade is a testimony to the future?
Okay, so let me explain. There is this conversation where the Ministry of Finance is telling everybody that they are clearing all the debts in the energy sector, right? And they publicly published that they are clearing all the indebtedness in the energy sector. It's not true. The figures that is published by the PULC does not sustain the fact, does not support the fact that they are clearing all the indebtedness. This is what they have done. One, they have negotiated with the IPPs that, look, the IPP debt, they are going to ring-fence the existing debt, which is about $1.1 billion, right? $1.1 billion. They've ring-fenced it to pay it over 4 years. Now, yes, there's an improvement in how much they are getting into the cash waterfall. So now what they do is that there's level A and there's level B in the cash waterfall. The first thing they do is that, let's say there's 1.8 billion Ghana cedis that comes into the waterfall. They take care of all the IPP indebtedness. So they pay off what we owe the IPP so that there is no arrears in the IPP bills. That is true. Nobody will deny that. But what is left in the level B, the residue of the money, is what they now share for the level B. Level B is the state-owned enterprises and all the other. NPP, we upgraded WAPCO. You remember WAPCO will be threatening to shut down their pipe. Because we want to make sure that WAPCO was paid and we don't get the West African gas pipeline cut off, we upgraded WAPCO into level A. So now WAPCO gets paid from the money that comes in. But what they are doing is that the residue of the money, they are not settling all the bills from VRA, Gridco, Ghana Gas, and all these companies. So they are putting indebtedness in those institutions. Now, to your point of Dumso, look, I have always said that now people say the lights don't come off. When I first said that the lights don't go off within this time because of the weather, people laughed at me. Today, you go to Energy Commission publication, Outlook. They've actually admitted that statement I made. And Energy Commission Outlook has put that in their thing that between the month of June, July, August, the weather is so cold that nobody puts on air conditioning. And that brings about 300 megawatts to 350 megawatts pressure that comes off the grid. We go into December, January, February. All our peak demand in this country has been recorded in either December or January. Why is that? Because that's the hottest part of this year. People sometimes confuse when it's raining to cold weather. No, it could be raining, but it's hot. Within the month that we are in, I don't even put on my AC. Everybody is aware how cold it is now. So the weather is cold. We don't put on ACs and fans. That is why we are projecting that. One, though they added one CD, that one CD, at first, if you read the energy sector stabilization levy, the report that he brought to Parliament, the levy collected about 8 billion Ghana cedis, right? Then there was a balance brought forward of about 2 cedis, about 2 billion. So they got 10 billion. Then he is telling the finance committee in Parliament, as the Parliament on the whole, through the report, that he borrowed the fund 12 billion. So the total payment the Ministry of Finance made in 2025 under the ESLA was 22 point change billion. 12 billion of that was borrowed from the Accountant General. What it means is that going forward, Atoforsen does not have money for the Energy Ministry to buy fuel. So if the pressure comes on the grid and the gas is not there and they need to buy liquid fuel, they wouldn't have money to buy liquid fuel. And that is why we are saying that because the challenges they have and the government not having money after December into 2027, when the lights start going off, it's going to be very permanent.
Sorry, let me add this to it. Last year, Energy Ministry were budgeted for 1.2 billion cedis. But Atoforsen releases only 700 million cedis to the ministry. So where are they going to get the money to buy the fuel, as my brother is saying? Over to you.
Yes. All right, I'm Christian Yale, TV3. Just following from where you left, the
the report on the energy sector support account, the 1 cedi fuel levy, which generated about 8.8 billion cedis in 2025, and government having to borrow 12 billion extra from the accountant general to support payment in the energy sector, which tells you that really there are problems, because if you introduce a tax measure, the 1 cedi fuel, which is unable to address the challenges you perceive to have addressed. Now, last week, the amendment to the energy sector levies is basically on the front that there are people who are misclassifying diesel as fuel oil. The minister tells us in the first half of the year we've lost about $25 million, and if those leakages are not stopped, we are going to lose about 1 billion cedis every year. My question simply goes as this: what would you then propose as the real solutions to tackling some of these leakages and the shortfalls which the tax measures are not addressing?
Look, when there are leakages and there are problems in importation and people are reclassifying, it's policing of the products. You don't do that by implementing a tax that's going to hurt the populace. This 704% tax that they've introduced, as my colleague said, is going to increase products because industry uses the heavy fuel oil. The industry are going to not say that I'm going to get a refund later, and then because of that, he's not going to increase his prices. So products that are produced by these industries are going to go up. What the government should have done is to police better. Make sure that there are real measures put in place to stop HFO abuse. The taxes have never been the solution. In the Western world, they want people to stop smoking, they impose tax. They say there's too many fatty food, they impose tax. It has never stopped anybody from smoking. So taxes is not the way to stop some of these things. What we are saying is that the reason the Ministry of Finance is imposing these taxes is that the government does not have money. And we keep hammering this point because they are painting a rosy picture to the whole country that there is money, the economy is doing well, but we think that it is not doing well. I think they want us to do a summary in chief. So let me go on. Okay. But before that, let me make a quick statement on something that is being misrepresented, and I think is before I do the chief summary. The union, the ECG union issued a statement. And NPP in our manifesto on page 175, we have a position on private sector participation for ECG. The NPP's position is private sector participation in the retail market, which is billing, customer service. We still stick to that. The reason at this juncture we are not taking on the government is that the government has only appointed a transaction advisor. We don't know what PSP they are going to implement. If the government comes out and says that they also want to do the retail PSP, which is collection, billing, and customer service, then we are with them. So let not the ECG, our brothers and sisters in ECG, feel that we are not with them. We are with you, but what we want to do, we've stated it clearly in our manifesto. If Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was president today, he would have implemented the retail in the customer service. So I think that's very important. The ECG workers should be patient with everybody. Let the transaction advisor bring his report, and then we will see the way forward, whether we support what this government is doing or we are at par or we don't agree with what the government wants to do. I'm say press conference I'm say if it now what you say petroleum prices fango ebo ewa manone ekosro petrol ne diesel ekosro no aban no nhehye ya odi to kwan mu ni say odi 2 cedis anka ewo diesel so no na yenyim free so eno no eba eboa obia ba obia nya kakra etu ni botom but de yenye kan say ene say wadi yete ho na be ka kire say 1 cedi bia eda ho a ewo energy sector no o de 1 cedi be ka ho na price call for more be year free so ene price ne call from no when ye no o say MPA for na emfa 2 cedis no omunyi 2 cedis en free ho enti ye press conference and pay ye ne say sa 2 cedis no say uyi a e de eka ebeto MPA bosumi a etwa mu May any April omunyi 2 cedis no e free diesel so no about 800 million Ghana cedis and ekano ebeto ho ene ye koye nim no omu yi 2 cedis for 1 month no another 400 about roughly 400 million Ghana cedis and about beto ho na your press conference enyoma miensa ene edi tu dwa one ye nyina ye te say Friday no aban no bill be called parliament or they call parliament no or could increase heavy fuel oil and no industries are almost different no and a day no or the two or the 1 CD 64 1 CD 67 pesos and a cocan home which is about 700%. And I say and no so if you so be yet smuggle heavy fuel oil no now person usia no kwan and yet taxes near this year no kwan enti aban no increase sa tax no from 24 pesos to 193 pesos no ebeha indumekuo omu yusu sa heavy fuel oil no the third in some etwaso miensa yedo eto kwan World Bank yeti krom ha yenyina ya te say World Bank for abeka kire ye say ye energy sector no problem wo ho power sector no sika yejeje no entumi ensi akatua ne nyoma osi etuaka inframa yede no nyamahode no entumi entuaka enti World Bank emma yen nhyehyeye ene ye sign contract say ombema yiska emma ye de asoso nyoma bia no na no na World Bank ba be review last year e ka kire ye say yes your performance in that agreement you know your performance your performance in that agreement no enkoyie enti enkoyie ni enti no aban no emfa kwan a obefa so amana koyie ade ba ko a aban no World Bank kan ya ebu aban ne for any say enyoma bia e wo se omu diska eye no Ministry of Finance e ka kire ndwumakuo ni say commencement authorization tumi a omo de be start adwuma no Ministry of Finance emfa ema wo mu anase eche enu nti no na ama World Bank no adru pempensu bi a o se yem modern bono e wo fom nti o se etumi enyi bi a ema eka aba beda ho ECG ni netco na ema eka abeda ho beda obi wo e bi
you may also have heard the critique say why would Nana B and the NPP decide say on a solemn day our mining in our air kai are 8 fallen heroes, or Maneboama and the other 7. And MP for your major on bears our demonstration way. I want for some way insensitive.
Okay. Sir, the Obiaka say insensitive. And Cabo Nippon
Jifaguno, for example.
Fantastic, NDC.
Yes.
If there's any, the number one insensitive person in this country, President Mahama, I'm going to tell you why. Anyway, you date with the near either. Near Nimson Bears. Secondly, ye the new patriotic party to be on for invitation be amre. But Obi, and Yansiana a fire on Craha.
Yeah,
and you pay we a bread ya nine. President William and now wash it, one Cosra will be armed from Quabusian farmer, a basin named se way crano, Ebiano, Mam you or Mammy and any perform more than 14 a woo. In fact, do you know what the president did? The following day, yeah, Thanksgiving service as a white Kosaye. Who is more insensitive than the number one gentleman of the land? And you put 40 in a parish, 40 anyway.
Not number need do 40.
Oh yes. Now up to no more 40 and a film 40 now from the President Mahama and Quatramo one country one bia no nam helicopter. Oh, you must see for man FM. No, Quatra Jubilee. Then saying, oh, was it see Kumasu?
Yeah, Nipa 21 and Richie.
Yes, Nipa say
21.
See, and President Mahama, he was enjoying reggae song in Jamaica.
Also, all state festival.
Exactly. He was enjoying reggae song, Naibian and Yaji reggae home Sasano. Who is more insensitive when, if up to now, can issue statement, we are in Nipa woo. Such a gory situation. Oh, why so? Okamboma, nice and Nipek Kakobe at your son 70 and a film. Be say presidency and you should even a community say, near sequence, you dear say, a bush for much madisha with a hard drink, when see, there be Yanibi. nipa 40 so afọ president nam helicopter me no anu we no kwetran Jubilee we mu so wuye no so a o sa enjoy reggae song ewo Jamaica Jifago no who is more insensitive enti anasa nipa dio so no e lives no a o mawu no eno de ensem fata eno de anya hwe to us demonstrating and fighting for the soul and the spirit of our democracy is also very important to us.
Okay.
And penifo free mu ya NPP ya kan yen penifo nyina be kan ho yen nyina Ghana mu nyina kan bo mu ene ye yi. Se na make me ni a share date dada. But if they go that line, now obi can so be insensitive. If there is anybody obi so be insensitive party and a president. So Jifago is the president of the Republic, President Mahama, who is more insensitive. Go nipa 40 wu ye no on am helicopter mu wan kohwe busuafo bia wan busakra se baby a omoda na busuafo nothing ye wie nipa wu ewo eye enkran kuma se kwan so o ma hye not in yan fa letter krata ba kokra ma anka bibia kran so mo tama de ni sie no na ye president of Jamaica, he was enjoying reggae songs.
Having gone round as part of my organization, no, do you have the feeling that people are interested in this demonstration?
Massively, and I'm happy that you said that generated a lot of hate on social media. Massively. Obey, Ofanko, far from me. We say we giddy, massive. People are not happy with how our president in one own party, people are not happy. On my own party, people are not happy. Now say on Kaiser or Penny, I say if I say, and go for Nyasa, Yanchiwe, on who's a video.
Yeah, I saw it.
Exactly. And one how in a drizzle zone also cassette, yes, they sit there now to be near the bill condition, who be near their 20 panels. Yes.
Okay, and for or more. They would only be watching out for numbers and pour out. And based on the numbers, no, they will say, hey, and the NPP party, momentum not teko.
Oh, but be
all dream
Obi, last year, the Chief Justice demonstration. At that time, Krana, you lose who abano Krana, na, a nibusu means it was massive. At that time, Krano. For Baba Katsa Bensa dia Wuye Yen. It was massive. That was last year. The Chief Justice demo, that judiciary and the attack demo. It was massive. This is going to be quadruple times massive.
In terms of the numbers.
I'm telling you.
You may also have heard the critique say, why would Nanabi and the NPP decide, say, on a solemn day our mining in our air kai are 8 fallen heroes, Omane Buama and the other 7. And NPP for you imagine some bears our demonstration way. I want for some way insensitive.
Okay. Say the Obiaka say insensitive. And Kabo Nippon
Jifaguno, for example.
Fantastic. NDC.
Yes.
If there's any, the number one insensitive person in this country, President Mahama, I'm going to tell you why. Anyway, you date with the near either. Near Nimson Bears. Secondly, you the new patriotic party be for invitation be but Obi, and you Nansiana in so a fire on Kraha.
Yeah,
and you pay we a bread ya nine. President William and now wash it, you know, one Cosra will be from Quabusian for a man, a basic name say Will Crano, Ebiano, Mam you know, or Mammy and any for more than 14 a woo. In fact, do you know what the president did? The following day, oh yeah, Thanksgiving service as a white Kosaye. Jifago who is more insensitive than the number one gentleman of the land. And you put 40 in a parish, you 40 in a way.
Not number need do 40.
Oh yes. Now after all, I'm
no
40. And I'm from 40 now from the President Mahama and Quasramo one country one year no nam helicopter. Or you will see for man FM. No, what Jubilee. Then saying, oh, accident see, Kumasukano.
Yeah, Nipa 21 and Richie.
Yes, Nipa say,
2-1.
You see, na President Mahama, he was enjoying reggae song in Jamaica.
Also, all state festival.
Exactly. He was enjoying reggae song. Who is more insensitive when, if up to now, when you issue statement, we are in such a gory situation. Oh, when so. Okamboma, nice, and you pack a cacobe at your son 70 and a free. We say presidency, and you should even a community say, near sequence, you dear say, a bush of four much madisha with a hard drink, when see, there be Yanibi. In the perfect form, President and helicopter, and one we know what time jubilee. We must we and or say enjoy reggae song, Jamaica. The fact who is more insensitive. It is another, a nipper your son, and lives no, our no. And no dear and some fata. And no dear yashi. To us, demonstrating and fighting for the soul and the spirit of our democracy is also very important to us.
Okay.
And penifo free mu ya NPP ya kamu, yen penifo nyina be kamu, yen nyina Ghana mu nyina kan bomu ene ye. Se na make me ni ahye date dada. But if they go that line, now obi can so be insensitive. If there is anybody obi so be insensitive party and a president. So Jifagonu is the president of the republic, President Mahama, who is more insensitive. Go nipa 40 wu ye no on a helicopter mu wan kohwe busuafobia wan busakra se baby a omoda na busuafo nothing ye wie nipa hu ewo eye enkan kumase kwan so o ma hye not in yamfa letter krata ba kokra ma anka bibia kran so mo tama de ni sie no na ye president of Jamaica, he was enjoying reggae songs. And you come and tell us, be insensitive. What are you talking about? It Conf is all catch a Ghana for who the road na rally suka say me ba cases when you na a walk out ya me ba me kem. I don't know one can say because it is more like a your campaign message and our for failure. Near President Mama to send the Attorney General, go to the court and free these people, and more like campaign message and our for failure. And se Osha Emrana say Yashisha Bidiama NPP for and Yasha for Ediama NDC. Obi, there be our democracy is under attack, is under siege, and it is serious. And you see, we do not expect this from President Mahama. Not at all. And your air and I'm surprised why President Mahama Krano Ebema Obi kraba be ka chen say ne yen san fa tribunal bin samra. Obi atia na yo machine.
Oh, na say almost say a lot of the commentary around it in the fear mongering.
Yeah.
All of you are stuck in the past. What may have happened in the past tribunal na move say this time it is under a democratic dispensation.
The tribunal is meant they want to perpetuate evil with it. Nobody should support it. Now, court no. If you want to expand it. Training conform man conform judges or we see all the independent body tribunal be ba. Na aban no na akoyo appointment ya kwakuguso. Eje na opra feature there be konakodem. And all kasa one kasa yi konakodem.
Yeah, but you have the right to appeal. It is still subject to the appellate.
They intina was say adeweba. I didn't know say ba. Why? I didn't know say by your court that are juma, your officer of the court. We pay who here. Say, was say, I think you said creative BB. Near Cassa and Semini be one of my yin so the Akoha. And I know whom you're causing. Yaban be a bamba by a BC court at Danny Beckham. Mama must be Cahu. Nayam Fanco from Coho, no Conco Yajuma. Where from this tribunal? Obi, it is meant to perpetuate evil. We must fight against it. They say, Sa dianoni is sunne, a dear de braye. In fact, it will be abused. A dangerous man support the crowd, be men support bako. I do be all yanti baby. Yes, we are now a former accountant be, and now we are also Jabi, Brabet Transfer Chairman, Yempenko Funguso, said the People's Court, Odo Koroma, Obin Poasam Crowd, Community Man, Nenwana, Debbie.
The chairman would always be a lawyer 2 other ordinary Ghanaians ever can, but the chairman is supposed to be
NDC lawyer. No makofanaba.
A lawyer.
NDC lawyer. Is there non NDC for lawyers? No mugu ni akofa NDC lawyer because appointment one be appointment.
The president would appoint the chairman.
So that's why
at the regional tribunal. Now CJ appointed at the district tribunal.
It is meant to perpetuate evil.
My response to these happenings, no, a demonstration I'm organizing or
yes, and how our people are being arrested. They use bail as punishment. At the moment, near Biako, near the Diatuno, you the 2 for 50 million bra. Where now shaho, for 100 million bra. Where now shaho. Na ye can't go for Casa Washo Muyam. Na asembrano ya tibia enu ye bi mo de na we de ANDC for de the DNDC for near the free omo na we ye din ko for all of these things no e ma ye democracy no emu ye ha e man ye under attack.
The demonstration is intended to do what? More representative petition.
You representative petition. I'm a judiciary. You call Supreme Court.
On a Mosa CF.
On a bodom pim every year ya nantimwa ya be presidency.
Oh, okay.
The presidency.
Jubilee House.
Jubilee House. Na ya the presidency so dia kwa no near 2 mpanimfo ni bi ene your leadership in parliament no mo so another petition so e dia kwa
speaker of parliament.
What is happening? Yera Mahama wa bem.
Yes.
Our opposition. Otro open letter be to Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, His Excellency. He was talking about criminalization of free speech.
Of free speech.
Okay.
Yes.
O cite cases mensa e won nsem as Meno Kasei from 2025, ABC cases are a border on criminalization of free speech, suppression of free speech, 45. Under President Mahama, 45. Obi ko posti ade say Obama, there pa no kwa kan social media, or the two no beto say ade na under mui etuo edi etusesa. Ni akwa kwachi no. Na NDC communicator no ka say Adam Bona and the supply a tuo edema boko conflict wo mko ntokwa no onam ho chef no list of na ajimai anam ho video no all over onam ho yam friend no kwa question na mbusa no he.
But what you call free speech, no, according to Professor Ransford Jampo, Enra in seminal conversation around the demonstration, they cause no an article in a paragraph 3, I think, or say democracy is about freedom of speech and not freedom to insult, threaten, and be unguarded in one's utterances in a manner that sacrifices the need for national peace. Those who hide under the democratic right to free speech, to defame and threaten the peace of a country all over the world are dealt with not arbitrarily, but in accordance with due process of law. And this is what happens in Ghana now. No journalist has been forced to flee the country for his safety as it occurred in the previous regime. Professor
Jampo, I am Madam for Oyenyachum. Oh, if there's anybody who benefited from free speech in Kayono,
how did he?
Now what Kasaya men when you post? Not in someone named New Wombs and Kakase subject to say for a publication of false Nabanan called them.
But now only the attempt.
There been a
the president then.
Almost a publication of false news into the name. A brand here, David Sando.
Yes.
The final 3 are going to swear.
Yes.
Was it do so is back. Then one who didn't attempt. And me interrogation room ho. And yes, will be so because I'm a crime. I say they are quite before Ruby. And they be on country. The investigators na busa na say uko kan bibi
yes.
Social media yes. So is back almost almost publication of false news. Enti eno dey near making say obi video appear but say President Mama abo 150 million bi.
Yes.
Na all pass comment yakwa chine fi oboase. Professor Jambo say obi ya adwuma ohene pa FM no akọ post ade on social media yakwa akwache no peace be no threaten here. Say Obama say more kan yi e social media there pa no kan peace be no threaten. Fancy comedy or a TikToker the platform obi tiama no ne e be keka ansem ho ono amu ni ache no ne na tum be close be 1 week Then no here.
But do you agree, sir, some of the comments we've heard?
I disagree. I don't support insult. And phone a paint be no diatom. I don't. But it doesn't mean you have to criminalize it. If there is any party that benefited from this, it is Professor Jampo and the NDC. Okroma obi timi tena radio so ka se nanado danko akufado kofro private jetter entinhwino wu wane kwachi no ya fi se friend samo honto obi wane kwachi no wane kwachi no.
But do you agree with his other claims, sir? And where Prof Jampo, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, has shown the needed and acceptable presidential temperament of civility, humility, empathy, and respect for all. He is not a Nebuchadnezzar and listens to public outcries. For instance, when the ordinary Ghanaian was to suffer hardship to be occasioned by fuel price increment, he intervened and has recently done same again. He doesn't lord his power over pastors, chiefs, and even the ordinary Ghanaian. Which president takes selfies with ordinary people and sit not on the front seat but among the ordinary congregation when he goes to church? This president doesn't command chiefs to get up to greet him at functions and will not talk back at chiefs who have criticized or made demands on the system.
Obi, ene Nana Danko Akufo-Addo is saint. President Mahama is becoming a political tyrant. If Professor Jampo doesn't know,
Asempa FM.
Me can't tell him Yama SCC and Yama or the Bekipina Juma as President Mahama's appointee. Me no because I may come me 2 million my chance. My every one Yama Ekoswo. Since when Yachi will be a yes, money bill 800 million. I for no President Jampo Kumubi. Since when Yachi will be a money bill 150 million, 50 million. When your man near the Washington Bay 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Since when, Obi, you are a very respected lawyer. Is bill meant to be punitive?
No.
So since when you did bill 2 abiso, what nipa pass or maybe a nipa tier? O say 1 man nipano and kofa 55 million 100 million 800 million now you can't come some how na drisu. I na drisu can want some say then e koswe. I na ye the bill I we say no. President Mama kan ho he. Eti no ono ebia no na make sense obeka nsema obekhoho a omampani sanse ono no yama na djuma oye eti anya me nwanwa ba nyama ekoso no enye adana meka baba mando di ase den pa no ye baba mando President Mahama ye kan obi a wanya LGBTQ mu faso pa ebo eno aban se ne wonkofo esi kan ya wonya mu faso de ene wo ba na so ka che se bill na besan ne hu hia na se baba amando ko ka se ene de mo fofo aso na ode mo picture ba na ode LGBTQE omo kala si bi de adware a oso obu afu atiko apai nto akwakofa na firi sunwane e de na for card na bankran. What is this? What is this?
But that is if you know, sir, President Nemo Mokofano.
Oh, na president.
We are the police were just doing their job.
What unim? Nancy, one guy said, Omukwachi or a brand to be on Beso equalize it. A brand to be an ODD, Yera Muhammadu atem.
Yes.
On Beso equalize it. Now say, Bo, me pamin Sobia, Sobian Kochubia. You can criticize me harshly, and you don't criminalize free speech. Mamun Kochubia, somewhere, you nothing will equalize it, and I will call it, and yet.
Mo party Mujina Manaizo.
Oh, Yamada Roma, Obi, say you go ya 2 constituencies in Dudu na we na ka constituencies ne kakra e bin so this weekend you go be better next weekend ya 2 region
okay
na ya koye ni na ka national exactly
national no year September right
September but ya the call year October
oh my side the call October
chance na some logistical constraint to say accommodation enti baby ana ombe wono yenya ntie for a date in October.
Okay.
And yeah baba yara supposed to do so I be using so no yenya eno so no a date for a year up.
And the initial date said September 19th.
Yeah, 19th. No.
Much October.
October, yes.
But still Kumasi.
Still Kumasi.
Okay.
And your own changes.
Okay.
Still Kumasi.
Okay.
Your two region we near Babeto.
National. Oh, okay. And I mean, not be him say because of some internal elections na question, you know, as a party number focusing na awareness, so as part of more bigger reorganization, no, the demonstration way in so.
Hey, Debbie Obi, we here. On say, Ira Mahama, acquire on na pump for a faswa. Omo 88 ye come in Kebia Mamu, so no. Na omesini trust na moja enyu no anwohye na ehu na aya na eme nwanwa se President Mahama no wo position no to no pe ni eme nwanwa oni se obi me no kasa enra okọ Asante Achem South your communication officer oho your friend Papa Rich yes no one so no
Asempa FM.
Oh, okay.
I what gas.
Yeah.
In pattern.
Yes.
And no weird ma yakwakoche no. Ebisi na eni mebi offer.
Oh.
And no weird.
Ahwenepa FM. Journalist.
Yes.
And no communications officer for the party in the constituency.
In the constituency.
Obi I say bono minister makase president Mahama Obrasim say racial flana sacking bi ono ne first person.
Oh, why bono regional minister? Lawyer.
Oh, it's not problem. Obi. It's not problem.
No why there.
Non-performing, very arrogant minister.
Oh,
non-performing, very arrogant, disrespectful minister.
Bono
regional minister. Nyomo onim ka ya cha NPP koko bi na or a very non-performing minister.
Oh, how?
I say pamono. That's my kaka. President Mahama. Awa ho Brazil. Anada anya na mbeka so wada. Yeah.
Oh,
President Mahama. Aho Brazil. Mienu. We told Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Nana ho Brazil baby obi abechiao, that these things, you know, a defect for your administration. It is all upon you be kojina one name so to on your behalf.
Yes.
No, you bit my you see the continuous carriage among your xenophobia.
Yes.
That impunity. Our Mujiri said there are lots over us. No? That's where the issues are. I'm surprised. The movie I said na to force the obada say go otufa wiem no oba. Yeah, I said go otufa wiem. You don't understand why you are there as a regional minister. It's about permanent.
Yeah, now so unka dey awa.
Na be you follow me conversation. You know, what's that the release by trouble on air tro? On Galamsey air tro. Any MC or DC or regional minister or Mesha separated say I did because you on the quiet either you're complicit or deliberately you are just making sure say we will find Bokona or young return. Sanya Bata comes to see. Won't to me can't say Rex sec, new sec, dissect no. So be to Galamsey, Ochiemua. You cannot. You expect President Mahama to be aware of this? How would he be president? And all compromised security agencies or more, especially intel agencies, security, military intelligence officers, various assemblies are almost a compromise on we should go after them. Because the excuses and the arrogance and the disrespect is becoming too much. It's too much. It's mesre. President Mama Igusu Kayo, mesre. Ministers be new, Director Generals be new, Chief Executives be new, that's a far call. Yeah, meaning they become overly Mr. Nice. In leadership skills, Kakrano. Oh, be say overly Mr. Nice, you hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Because break pass na better oh break pa the way our party for edge will say and away na and omo this na accountability the way you share edge. Because we cannot travel another 2 years without reshuffle because President Mahama can say third year no parties internally move to about 4th year there is no 4th year. That's why some of us we agree somewhere even though we are thinking that the extension of 5 years is not a guarantee that development or progress will work. Yeah, it's not a guarantee. But we are just hoping.
That's true.
The president is going to fight Galamsey, you know. Is that what we are saying? Ubi, and on the Yehun. Galamsey and Nekoso Sabrin. What they compare Sabria Not to say, as a union, because in one major tributor, you bet me the ama woman, and they say, and that year, that tea near Galamsey. And there was a report of encophobia, Omaku, our Galamsey site be.
Yeah.
Yes, you Nini Becker, video I him that year.
Away at him or die. Women I at him that.
At him Danny.
Hey.
At him that Galamsey sites.
Hey. And I who down.
That is another mission. And no name because say no mission.
Hey.
At him that.
I shall say at
I shall say at
or dapa
or dark crew.
Mena me catch now a quan hope who call that school or that secondary.
Hey, where do you
when she junction
river na say
I river na that hono. It was brim ni it was a way normal for edgum.
Where the way a criminal way
I mean and
this is
way no more pretty wahano police akwacho be na answer. I'm only hoping say other police no other police no and na ye be intimidate him we be ko baabi no na ye see signboard say ye reclamation we be kum ni eju
and for more amutie no ba YouTube your live stream na we be who the situation where a drone shot of the situation in Oda it's terrible. So you'll be what's now Danny Unimoda pa ne ade you'll be very disturbed. I mean this is really concerning. Oh, that's terrible. This is terrible. And that's the Brim River?
Yes.
Wow.
Entino ye pay sikenti. Entinka 1 year ayenuanom Ekwako fight Galamsey, Omofa Mushro Monquadier. One major tributor and Kebele Mom said he will add you be see.
The river is completely gone.
It's gone. Okay, yes, Menka. Okay, yes, we told that morning. So as a member of parliament, you know, Minya Shahain. Obi, and I make us a senko bia. Are
you sure this is Biren River?
Oh, I am telling you, sir, no one and then some they could try. I am telling you. Opa Yanko Ochina.
It's completely
yes.
You can reach out to the DC.
You can send your independent. You can send
familiar with the
you can send your independent reporters. So we video from the beginning. Ube who say Odasco wenchi to Odasco kwano hono. All the machines this. It is from Glory kwano to baby aside one. It's just about 5 minutes walk. It near to the baby sao. It will change. The I am that's the road. That's the road. That's the road in here. Oh, that's the road in here. No machines this is here. You see, I am happy you people are surprised because car a real masem. A real masem. One qua obey them. In fact, when do they be a namwa? Who say omutu wo but eno ane nansa police for kochi wo mo ye adwuma no and am kase yenkwohwe ade ekoso wo and this is what we went to find. This is what we went to find.
That's a devastation.
This is what we went to find. Omoban so ahom nchew.
Say sophisticated equipment it too no
within about the month of 2 years no we not
no much I will say.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Honorable, we may be coming from different political parties, but do you think I can keep quiet over this?
Now, I say be an anonymous team call on. Now, why video we are sharing anonymous?
And no answer.
And maybe also we share anonymous.
So no can say action, but China action should not be the end. They should be made to feel this.
That's it.
Yeah, we do the assassin or the assassin or papa.
What?
And when I walk high, you will go down
you should also understand where the question Obi is asking. There is no way anybody can do this without the permission of the landowners.
Okay.
There is no way.
No, you video on the channel and first. And let them appreciate it.
This is just one site. This is just one site.
The brim is completely gone. Completely.
Oh, Jesus.
There are several others. Obi, it is the best tribute I ever union penny for. I was say one premium Galamsey until we are going to bring an alternative, no, and we don't have to see this. We didn't have to see this a year after. Ada sika pem kwa bem kwa. Na utiminka. We me bo or down police for abaso say. Complain by an omantina no makochen crofo. But I am telling you, the reason I am happy on this one. And yet many MC in Asabukura. But the police is afraid they say what we are. You have a frustrated case. What does it? And so we have to bring it to light. That's IGP crowd in the DHR, often in DHR.
Well, I say I was 9 months for the cohort.
Yeah. 9 months, I can count how many times 9 months has visited on that. 9 months, I'm telling you, say, air time, no be to get on to what
that. Arrest or report here, say, Asako Chinipa 12 be cry just at a different location.
It's in the Omunino prosecution over him. Yet, now other name follow up on the prosecution.
No, prosecution
any final
just
judgment
because some of them are not so big. We don't hear because of they don't have names.
But we have to.
Well,
the media has a responsibility.
No, most of them are being prosecuted. Even some have been imprisoned.
No, if we see these things, that is it. Because when we are check now, you mobilize the youth against you. Because youth need near Jumaye. It you don't call kakra and no musunyebi. But sabe kakra bubenyano, yadia de bebremo. Yadia de bejanchima, a sia yeba benom, and mother keke kahon, and a miki, the only ekoda, dynamite swa, ubi shutu. Na dynamite a pina, a kunipa bebrino, and no sway. Nina galam sadia. Nina galam sadi. Obi, Mama yen and fair hunim. Na yakabre, bebois. Yakabre. Maybe say, Nama cabre. I could pum say, be sell whom you may be some say, and to back I could see that bay.
Yes.
But at least I'm encouraged to say, though that police are taking steps
to arrest.
Baby, you took and say be a police for her. Baby, you took and say be a BNI for her. Baby, you took and say be a national security for yet more. And yet, Dane, and not uncle for the Yaquine, a room.
Nanaya Jantwa 8 a.m. from Jubilee House. Obi, the NPP is not patriotic at all. Please ask Akwesi Akwa if he knows the people doing the galamsey. Has he reported to the authorities or the chiefs? Nanaya Chempem Jantwa.
And no minister and the payment is a silver baby. I'm not to more. Make catch them say. Make catch them. I'm not Encophobica at the Yajandam. I do so now or your chief Gumbrist. Oh, about both Gumbis here. I said my work can obey me, there's not to chain. Now what she has some. And not, let me catch and say, gold prices no a gold board each year. I will form. And no, now Magalam CSDB say, woman to me, responsible mining. Because almost some more responsible mining, I can't move a bono. Gold board, a bomb the Bama woman. And same fata. A Juana whom man fast war. 10 years, to no major hoko. No, because I'm saying, a jumba hope a doing come on. Nams ah, Nagalam say for no me and some of war. Yenny more. Woman yabay fool, woman ye depend no matter. Yenny mom, oh, way or too good, oh, way or too galam say, oh, way, almost, but you haven't caught them in the act. And I said, wait, me a sight to a cosonimu. Oh, what to me? Galam say for no, una, oh, braga light to saying, and a jumat to saying, ah, no, bet any said, you know, they are fully protected. Ejuma ni esika ejuma. O just say, etino u two galamse so sa u to u kasa se kwala. But obeka kosi say. And they know say be nyese mejuma na me gunu. But I will give you evidence of the fact say yet been trauma so cruso e ma ni nyese. Etino nana no betimi asore atiawo. Ye be kasa atiawo da ugo da anima ase ni ade. But the truth when told. Ebe seti na afri. Ebe boaye. So, it's nana ya yenimom. But you have to catch them in the act. Police require kochi womi. Apparently they are not even from Oda. Fioda, but to be na dioma bado mutu. Ana yachi wom. Etino nyase wenim obiya oye galamse. Ewo man bia na yenimom. Mese ukọ broni bi so ni ade obiya galamse. Edu anopa. Ude obehu ade no mom de ye no. Se jiggle se den. Ebi no mde fro.
Yeah.
Na ekura mo so mo tools
any pickers
omo dam krom okoto wache bi okwa menem okotu o just say these are people all kono e bi ogwa benya be 200 300 400 cities bi o de bebe fie ni de no It's senka no pa captain ni obefa so. Obefa srada, obefa hamani ade no. Eno mu nyina agya to ho. Omu na akwa amrem. Messi no anko befa throw ani show ni ade. Eno we gya na to omu na akwa amrem. You see them adopa. Uhu so mo ko. Say intelligence, you can trace them to where they are going to work at. But can you catch them all like that? The president Kai say one more me galam say no, one more yet small boys. They are kingpins. It is here per se to galam say let's get the kingpins behind them. It's one moment and none how we do mom some area no money I don't know. You cannot blame them. What I say, you know that's it. Now because this idea ma fatu me who's way, may limit me who to me crum. Achim da. Obi anso le mete no ho to ne dia.
To no so ne dia.
Ebeboa.
Yeah.
In his office and he will go to jail. Some of you will go to jail one day. 11 million for renovation, 4 million for furniture, 843,000 for TV, 843,000. Kitchen cabinet, 297,000. Sami Jamfi, you will go to jail.
But that upon training, ubewuno, any hunting. And there's a work for scandal called NLA, Ubinya scandal. GOLDBOD there, Bibri. Various assemblies, scandals.
So, what's a GOLDBOD Bibri with evidence?
I don't NLA now, bisa GOLDBOD. Make a NLA and a GOLDBOD.
There are some of you so NLA so there be NLA so no scandal.
This was readily you ask of GOLDBOD.
No, so we maybe so.
No topic.
The moment I make you know, most scandals be breed.
Yeah. Why you don't know? I don't know ni baby. But it was Oshe. Abba. Yeah, discuss it. Yeah, Chief Executive Sami Jemfi. I see him. Sikibia and Yiraya. Further investigations. We will bring proofs. Na Enyama Echlese. Sikibia Yira. Na Uyiwenua. Yentia and some efi GOLDBOD as yeba. Ya yejidia yakakrakra the current losses of GOLDBOD. And the APM from IMF report to crash Sana and yet Sika did 2D no more than whatever we were even saying, and then 1.7. How many people are talking about it? I think I report nobody. But again, the people be so massages information. But you better do.
Tia Fred Hendrin, my whole crime will be a pray humani be. The obetumi aye adwumani yie a oman no benya so mfaso abra oman ne bebo kakakra bi ne dia ma no. But wo hwe de ekoso wo bawomia ene omampanya kufu ado amamwo yimu a ye wo contrast akese bebre a aban de ma bawomia nuanom a ye ma ho kwan se obi amepre bi ye si peg aso ye de sika toto so a oman ne hwere sika titiri dia you will weep for Ghana as we move along.
But Sami Jamfi is abusing his office and he will go to jail. Sami Jamfi will go to jail one day. 11 million for renovation, 4 million for furniture, 843,000 for TV, 843,000. Kitchen cabinet, 297,000. Sami Jamfi, you will go to jail.
That is on me, you know. And yeah, but once I, my father Moses said back on, you know, I think that, kwa ho pe na se se no ye horo e de gu brain mu no ye horo omtu omhoro de gu brain mu no look at it e kwa ho pe or that didn't used to be this way it is necessary abase ya sabe ye be se nananom ahemfo police for the money ade I am so happy say police for if you say take action and then na so ma kochi obi the baby on kochi ngofo do site ni ni
o constituency
atem da ni omkochi nkofo no na data ekoho ekotwitwa we no maniade
abusu we de mamenchia na memo akwa banfa umbra the Randy J report so na ene Sami Jamfi ene ne GOLDBOD ena wo mo ho aba asem ya sese de baby abafa bia no ye twene sere ne abasa ne sa na nyina ne se IMF fo e de wono mo hwehwemu ene wono mo nkrata asem nyina ene a me no kasai de aba awieye na omode ba awieye no nsɛm we firi mu aba no de ɛkyɛn ɔtwe ho nwen ne nyinaa ne sɛ ɛbrɛ bi ahwehwɛmu bi ba bɛda adwa sɛ GOLDBOD adwumakuo no wɔn ma bɔka $214 million ɛmɛ nsɛm ba ye GOLDBOD for de nkrataa ba abɔnten ɛyɛ no korɛ ɛnyɛ no korɛ ma Ghana for twe ho da awerɛ saa ɛno no yɛampɛ ne nnua bubrɛ yɛ hu baabi ɛkɔkɔsiiɛ baabi ɛkɔkɔpem yɛ da sɔre yɛ ne nsɛm no na kyɛ sɛ aforo pata ensem no ayera ama yente ho asem kura bio ne nso so na IMF de wada so a eye na hwehwemu na enna me no ka sei na IMF fo do mo nkrata ba bonten kire se 2025 nko a ya ye mba 2026 mo 2025 afa ye twa mu nko a GOLDBOD kan nko a wo so aye no eye $1.7 billion 1.7 billion sese de no na ababeto abontin so a ababe de jama manfo ekabie na saa nsemi 2025 na hyase abobo ba ese beka ya okatachi kwa me frifa ene NPP amonyokuo no hyase hunu niema bi ebobo ho nsem a de betu dwa ka se wohwe niema bi ekoso GOLDBOD ho no a dachi bi akabia oman ye hunu bi da na be piem firi se impokura office keke ya GOLDBOD ka akotena akonya baako a ye ton 1000 onom ko a beto no million TV ba kwa ya tonu si omu kwa beto ni si chese ensem bebre no a na omu de ba betu dwa na ekekan ne de aba bede dwa no de wankasa otia wo kura bedwiro nansa na kora mpo de yenkon 2025 ensem wo do okatachi kwa me free fade betu dwa enema wo pa ho ntoma efa Samija mfini ni GOLDBOD ho na ename no kase ni nyina abamu no na chese ni enyan Bank of Ghana so ho bombom mu ya wo hwe sika twitwiri die pa omo so edi abehye dollar mu ya enne amaye hunu de ekono ekasurusuro na de abro my Ghana no de ene enyan na yenti okatachie ye wiensu a na yetie achimodan mrahye bedwani ono abo Alexander ene okokopie mu United Television na wakodwiri nsem agu homa ono abo Alexander oye achimodan mrahye bedwani wakohwie nsem agu homa nyadaje na etie bi de like video yima me na share fa wadwenkyire nso so bra yinyina yenhua de na yenko enko yenim
100,000 enkantity 1 billion 200,000 300,000 400,000 500 600,000 700,000 800,000 843,000 ana Samija mfidi akoto eye na any serious country Samija mfidi should have been shot to death. I'm telling you, such crime television ba kwa here on office what the 8 billion in a chi most so krono we so eka kire me kwa frifa say e ya hoye anti Samija mfi say na dwuma wo be ye no TV wo here no on office wo here 8 billion TV ba wo here 8 billion. Now according to the contract no kitchen cabinet stove microwave aye install Samija mfi office kitchen cabinet minim so oba be no aduane wo so be ye den o sa kitchen cabinet no e cost Ghana for taxpayer 297,567 tienie Samija mfi ese ne dantie mo Ghana for bebre na mabobo adam Samija mfi etuwoka eye TV a Samija mfi ene ne office TV ye wo ho ene ne kitchen cabinet ene ne stove aye install Okaboma eye to the tune of 1.1 million Ghana cedi 1.1 million Ghana cedi enka tete ne 10 billion tie madwene ogoka TV baako ene ye install a kitchen baako to the tune of enka tete 10 billion. You can't 10 billion, 1.1 million. It means 5-bedroom house. Ewo Ghana, fully furnished 5-bedroom house, 1.1 million. Samija mfi dia to TV, any kitchen cabinet dia boni fee. I need them, the office. While businesses are collapsing, young people nya adwuma. A teacher for yentimi ntwi omuka. Obi se ohia television. Obi se ohia kitchen cabinet. Obi se ohia 1.1 million. Enkante 10 billion. Na you to know some years have been previous and yagwen and argumenti. And they come by this time the youth should have marched to Samija Mfi's office. So you to net see what is happening to them. So we bit me you sue a year and quantity 8 billion the to TV. Now you moving away from it. Now you shadie. Who movie away ya? before say Sami Jamfi the contract of 11 million Ghana cedi ebema eye owura Standogbe ni nua Dogbe omo company no Sami Jamfi the company be your friend Gracefield or the furniture contract worth 1 million and the NPP communicators will be a Sami Jamfi the kind the contract sum of 1 million Ghana cedi said furnitures and konya table war twice in the office no 1 million Ghana cedi. Ne konya war twice in the office no and can't 10 billion and open konya de in the office. It will the TV ne ho a e de koka microwave ne ho a Sami Jamfi konya wa de si ne dem the TV the microwave e won the office 20 billion and can't tiska 20 billion 2.1 million or the same contract name at Gracefield. Now months earlier, ebi awadi kama contract say yanko fan konwamra. Surprisingly, company your friend Coresa or say Coresa. Company your friend Coresa or say Coresa muntienie. Now Coresa company or say diaba no Coresa Limited no. Owura Standogbe our deputy chief of staff. We Stansikani Standogbe. Any ninua we Willenam Dogbe. Ana sa company no omodia. Se ope chrono daylight robbery. Ano omu only Coresa. For you to know that Coresa ni omodia no hwenie. Na okọ Wezo Standogbe ni ko for omodia sa Wezo group limited na Standogbe ni ninua dia. Now Standogbe ni ninua no. Ofa Coresa no email address. Just so you know, the email address of Coresa is coresa@wezogroup.com. Tienio. Eti company no Standogbe eni ninua ana omodia. Now Standogbe deputy chief of staff eni ninua ana Sami Jamfi awarded omo company contract to the tune of 11 million and 110 billion. 110 billion. Mobeka ya meka kire mo last year say Sami Jamfi will go to jail. Sami Jamfi will go to jail because idea Sami Jamfi yen will gold board hono. A serious issue. Sa gold board ho idea Sami Jamfi yen. Now Sami Jamfi ama Standogbe a company to the tune of 11 million Ghana cedi. But within the 11 million Ghana cedi, there is a component for furniture. Don't forget that when it comes to Gracefield, a furniture contract of 1 million Ghana cedi. Now there is a component in the 11 million for furniture to the tune of 3 million Ghana cedi. So it's all the 3 million Ghana cedi way ekoka the 1 million already as Sami Jamfi ma Gracefield now. It means Sami Jamfi spending 4 million Ghana cedi on furniture alone in the GOLDBOD office. You can 4 million Ghana cedi name Remrawa and can't it 40 billion. Billions have 40. Sami Jamfi. It is Sami Jamfi office in Kwano and Konya and table near the on in the month for be yusuno. A year to the tune of a year 40 billion and can't it 4 million. Now both Wezo Group any Coresa Ghana Limited no. Medical catchem say Standogbe dia. Standogbe yinsu ye deputy chief of staff. Ni nua no so one ne ye no deputy a year. Omo office wa agrenga no tienie. Na ye ma omo contract no. It was through sole sourcing. When you mere coincidence, this is a year pure thievery and architecture to steal from the people. And you make Sami Jamfi yes and you.
Komani pa ba pe. Nipa kakra bi afasika na kenten so a omo ne omo yere ne omo ma ne omo busuafo edi sika ne nyafunya tisika bi ani wa de be ye oman ni ye enu ti na ye bre no enu ti na ukrom kwan no aka ho a aban ne nyeye no enu ti na so piti sa ye
Sami Jamfi epeso omodidie anu wama eye Standogbe ne nkrofo to the tune of 110 billion 11 million contract through sole sourcing. Now bisa Sami Jamfi said die enti ne de ma sole sourcing Sami so sourcing ni yentie no
nipa kakra bi afasika na kenten so a omo ne omo yere ne omo ma ne omo busuafo edi sika ne nyafunya tisika bi ani wa de be ye oman ni ye enu ti na ye bre no ɛno nti na ukrom kwan no aka ho a aban ne nyɛɛ no ɛno nti na aso piti sa yɛrehwɛ no yɛnhu no the reason is corruption ɛno nti sɛ yɛpɛ sɛ ɔma yi fa no ntoma pɛfiri a ɛwɔ sɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛni bere ɛwɔ kata hyehyɛ porɔ yɛdwirim so na yɛte so atua na ɛnɛ kata hyehyɛ ne porɔyɛ no new angle bi aba NPP for the bomb by no chrono ye pa ɛyɛ ade a yɛfrɛ no soul source yi deɛ kyerɛ nyinaa ne sɛ aban pɛ sɛ odi dwumadie bi na insɛ sɛ ɔbɛfa mmara kwan so aba mu ama ɔmo a ɔmo wɔ ɔpɛpa sɛ ɔmo yɛ sɛ adwuma no nyinaa ɛpere bi no aban ne ti da bi mede kɔhyɛ dɛm na mede akɔma nipa baako pɛ
saa na Samija Mfi ɛyɛ aban so de kɔhyɛ dɛm ɛde ama nipa baako pɛ na Samija Mfi de kɔhyɛ dɛm so de master ndo be ni nua company nko through so sourcing. Now the irony of it is that even by the time where you contract in no na per so person ma so sourcing you need works and housing certificate, you need valid PPA certificate. Now irony, Coresa only obtained PPA certificate in May 2025 and the contract in in July 2025 June 2025. Now the time where you contract in no Nani PPA said which of the certificate? I think the PPA. It will share a PPA certificate. Now, but Samija Mfi says still our person will chrono, and these are the words of Samija Mfi. A person will a chrono through source inti. What the master stand away and then in the company. Now, Public Procurement Act Section 40. Actually, acquire first a year so sourcing. The only reason a year so sourcing is when there is no alternative supplier. When there is an extreme emergency, eti weno Samija Mfi kasa yasi ebeye so sourcing ni nyina ne say ye mie competitive tendering ye nyama nkrofo bebre nu amemeye bi nemo ye hia nipa ba akopɛ. And per section 40 of the Public Procurement Act 663, the only time we do so sourcing is allowed is when one there is no alternative supplier. Contractee nipa omo ye renovation of buildings bebre wa Ghana Samija Mfi so de bema korosa which is stand up with there. When there is extreme emergency, there is no extreme emergency. Samija Mfi wa ha. What is so special
to see the works they claim to have done?
That you would want to do this contract through so sourcing. Why? Look, what is so special about a 120-meter asphalt runway? What is so special about what government itself describes as minimal renovation of a building? And if Ali can put the pictures of the Sunyani Airport on the screen for people to see the works they claim to have done. That you would want to do this contract through so sourcing. Why?
The same questions are being put to you today. What is so special about renovation of a year Bank of Ghana old building at GOLDBOD that it could not have been through competitive tendering? What is so urgent about it? But clearly Samija Mfi wants to steal us through a year one standogbe. Obeso wiya standogbe ene ni nua wele nam dogbe. Ombeso mu wiya enti ana Samija Mfi amu omu contract through so sourcing to the tune of a year 110 billion. Now causing financial loss, abuse of office, unlawful procurement. Ni nyina Samija Mfi one day you go to jail. Now come so conflict of interest be any baby. Conflict of interest wo baby. If it's a standobe, tienye. Before say conflict of interest, let's use the words of AF. Okujeto ablakwa. Yenti okujeto say there.
Article 284 of the Constitution is very clear. A public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with the performance of the functions of his office. So you see the standard very high, conflict or is likely to. And in the classic case of Anani, where this provision really was tested, you know, Shiraj delivered a very, very profound decision. And I want to read from page 21 of that Shiraj decision in the Anani case. And this is Anna Bosman. The commissioner has held that a public official breaches this provision not only where there is actual conflict of interest, but also where there is a likelihood of conflict of interest.
Now
where
to
there is
raise
already
the,
in
the
existence a
threshold,
personal relationship between
the
the public.
threshold of Article 284 to raise it, also not only when they conflict, but likelihood. Now, Deputy Chief of Staff, who is so powerful, now say or CEO be was or even in the event that it was a competitive bidding, who could have actually stood against a deputy chief of staff Standobe? Standobe awotimi epia soldier for 2 omo twene. Standobe awotimi jeje camera say next Standobe a company or no be compare, let alone when it is done through sole sourcing. And the guidelines for a yes right is very clear. The violations are there. But Sami Jamfi is abusing his office and he will go to jail. Sami Jamfi will go to jail one day. 11 million for renovation, 4 million for furniture, 843,000 for TV, 843,000. Kitchen cabinet, 297,000. Sami Jamfi, you will go to jail. I'm telling you. Someday soon, you will go to jail. Because there was no urgency for you to give it a sole sourcing. But you did that simply because you wanted to steal from us. Now you did it against the directive of John Dramani Mahama.
You are laws to eliminate excessive waste in the procurement of government supplies and projects. Single source procurement must be the rare exception rather than the norm.
The rare exception.
We must also subject government projects above a certain threshold to value for money audits. And just this morning I was reviewing some of the procurement reports. And there was this procurement for poultry farmers. 10,000 units of something. And it was single source. The reason for single source was urgency. And one company was giving the contract to supply 10,000 units of whatever it was. The supplier and the person who assembles it was not allowed to bid. And so the company that won it went to the supplier, bought the items for 4,500 and came and sold them for 6,600 to government and walked away with 21 million cedis on that supply. I mean, how can you do this? I mean, it was our own company we're running. How would we do a thing like this? But that is government bleeding. Everybody cutting their pound of flesh. That must stop.
John Dramani Mahama said government bleeding, everybody cutting their pound of flesh. Standobe is cutting his pound of flesh. Wellenam Dogbe, greedy people. Yedo Martina as deputy chief of staff. Sika wamu diene nsuomo. Edna kwa deputy director general of SNE. Sika wo diene nsuono. Sami Jamfi yedna tino GOLDBOD CEO. Wa jini se ayesi amuwa shina chi ayesi. Nsuono. Yesu amosa afa kwan so through sole sourcing. Ese wia manfo ni sika. And you Sami Jamfi, you go to jail. Yentie Sami Jamfi nse enu mu nsem bio. Yentie.
Nipa kakra bi afasika na kenten so a omo ne omo yere ne omo ma ne omo busuafo edi sika ne nyafonyafo ti sika bi ani wa de be ye oman ni ye enu ti na ye bre no enu ti na ukrom avodo for enuma kese e wo Ghana emra se sa ban e fa bo bi adwuma se wo medi sa adwuma ne ma oman a aban ma obi contract ho a yemamu na obi biara owo nimdie na our capacity so betimi ayese adwuma. We should give that person the opportunity to compete.
Okay.
TFA be competitive tendering. Ma ho kwan na obi amepre adwuma ni bi. The obetumi aye adwuma ni yie a oman no benya so mfaso abra oman ne bebo kakakra bi ne de ama no.
Nokure.
But wo hwe de ekoso wo bawomia ene omampenya kufu ado amamwo yimu a ye wo contract akese bebre a.
It's 11 billion.
Aban de ma bawomia nuanom a yamma ho kwan se obi amepre bi yesi peg aso ye di sika toto so a o mine hwe sika titiri dia you whip for Ghana as we move along menua
wo hwene se v boot Sami Jamfi wo hwene se v boot tete v boot yen replace the same words now kan yen yi din na ye niemfa yi stand up ni nua ne wo din hye wo contract akese over 11 million which is 110 billion old city. Mudi biya tutuso. Namode ma through sole sourcing. When the government requires, when the statute requires that they must be through competitive bidding. we no say ba omia de mani nuanom. But in this case, you are giving it to stand up ni nuanom. O hwere such a TV boot. On say unya atumi de. The very thing you were against, the very thing you were fighting vehemently against, you are doing that and even worse. And GOLDBOD is a crime scene. Yentie Samija Vini Fancy.
Javodwo for a new market see a Ghana. Emrase Sabai Efa will be a Jumasa one made this Jumani more Maya. Abai mo be contract or one.
Say Abai Efa Koresa. Yes, Tando Benini near Willingham Dobedia. Samija Vituaso.
Yemem.
Yemiem, Yen so sourcing. It's Samija Fi, who BMU and answer my so sourcing to a Koresa, a Stando Bedia. It was Samian.
Now will be Biara or one dear. Na our capacity so betting I say man. We should give that person.
It will be Bia or betting renovate a year Bank of Ghana office and GOLDBOD occupy no Samija Vituaso.
Opportunity to compete.
To compete. Nemo no media, me ba be GOLDBOD CEO me ma kwan bien compete. Me the 11 million Ghana cedi, 110 billion old cedi contract be ma Koresa. Aye idea aye so me to aso.
TFA be competitive tendering.
Me na minim competitive tendering e wo eye opposition. Nemo me buy eye aban mu no minim. Wo hwene sensitive boot onim yentie no.
O kwan obi a me pre adwuma ni bi.
Aha, enso we de o ma kwan mo bi a me pre bi. Wo de be ma stand up ni nua to aso.
De obetumi aye adwuma ni yie. Oman no benya so mfaso abra oman ne bebo kakakra bi ne de ama no.
Aha, enso me de obetimi aye adwuma ni yo, de ontimi nya ni yo, de aban bebo kakra bi o, de amo kakra bi o, stand up ni nua menya aye ma adwene se nam de mo no anam de mo to aso.
But wo hwe de ekoso wo bawomia ene o mampenya kufu ado amambo yimu a.
Wo hwe de ekoso wo Samija Mfini ni GOLDBOD office wo no a to aso same.
Ye wo contract akese bebre a.
Ye wo contract akese si ye renovate 11 million Ghana cedis same to aso.
Aben de ma bawomia nuanom a.
Samija Mfini ma eye stand up ni nuanom a same to aso.
Yemma ho kwan se obi amepribi.
Wo ma kwan mu obi amepribi. So ame to aso.
Yesi peg.
Yesi peg. Yen to aso.
Ye disika toto so.
Ye disika toto so ma TV kura ni ye ton 8 billion. Yen to aso.
O mine hwe sika titiri dia.
O mine boka wo GOLDBOD titiri dia Samija Vitu aso.
You will weep for Ghana.
You will weep for Ghana.
As we move along.
As we move along.
Charge avodwo for a new market here.
Wo such a TV boot. Also wo a opposition dey na nim competitive bidding. Na nim aban gase oba enkwase ade awudi. Oba enkwase ade awuti office wa awudi. Zabejavi, you are a young guy. You've been given the opportunity to serve your people. Now, more young guys here, more opportunity to serve more serve ya. Kwasiade nko na moye. Kwasiade. No hope for our nation. We don't care. Munya hunu sikanwa, that becomes your motivation. We sikani nyafu. We sikano. Wo opposition na wonim competitive bidding obeduru aban mu a wo CEO no ayi GOLDBOD wonim competitive bidding mebwa nyame twedi ampomfa wo bone enchew ade a wo dey your mind Ghana no nyame young guy given the opportunity to serve. Look at what you are doing to the nation. Medumasia
Obi ayem nhyehyɛ no yesi yɛbo sɛ yɛbɛyere yɛ ho na yɛasom ne yɛbɛsom ɛna hwɛ mafadie ya NPP da mu a ɛbɛbɛkɔ so wɔkyena yɛ nyinaa de yɛ ho agyim ɛsiane sɛ yɛhwɛ kabi ma menka bi amamuo a ɛwɔ Ghana ɛnka sɛnea na ɛkɔ no deɛ na nka ɛkɔ n'anim paa yɛnnuanom mo baa so yi ɛnneɛma a wɔn yɛ ne nyinaa te ɛdi adanseɛ sɛ wɔbrɛ kabi ma menka bi amamuo no ase pacho I mean for mansi
na wo be because me se chia internal professor can we say na nka say na wo didi kan when look time when you honorable me patch your quite substantive issue
also treating me exception. You have to protect me. I have to protect against 2 NDC. You have to protect me. Mommy, the break aka where your NPP day. Yeah. Where
against 2 no
demonstration because what you What's not demonstration? What's not demonstration? Any NPP demonstration? A Ghana demonstration. On mine become anymore. I'm calling the crowd. Mammy Kabi. And yet, dear Juma. And there, Moody Rambo. Bob would say, ye were by Muntimini. Muntimini so. Ye can't number teacher. Ye can't number Giatum. Ye can't number Haye. I didn't hear. The Yankan to more than a million Yanko beach. I don't know. Yeah, so the boy, pay. It may come out. I don't talk to come out because I say, Bush, I hope I'm not nothing about Diabo. Also, woman, we are quite because of both, yeah, not just open.
Okay,
I
honorable.
Say, me bought God in a baswa. One here. Elections are going to be loose.
I'm going to call for
for me, yes. For me, the kind of sanity I share in our body politics, he represents one of them. Other kind of as it is, and for a political party, now, when you command respect because the neutrals are many.
Yeah.
On Twaba because for when this, but I heard certain people like these ones and say, and we all
also about one in teachers. But this is, I mean,
this come from
neutral.
Let's have people in our system. I'm not going to why I care them because what talk Mr. Communication Director. Because they are nominal all can my dream on America. One, men may not say, yes, you know, a bosom. I mean, I must be a bosom, men here, almost and but since you near the ISM one, whom a woman bed Danny, our walk, let's chase a galamsey for one.
You are for it.
Prince, the man, the video be say only video no enfanchire sanya enema konwo aban bia de na no ka say obetu galamsey ase aban ne ba boye ho bibi. I'm sure say enne President Mahama ne headache ba kon pa de galamsey because it was a major issue. CSO so no money ade ade omho gi mo bu a NDC fo no mo so mo ma omo break akra se fie mi enu adu still no I didn't hear the west and that they say a year it after all bomb one no mas casabio the year no more sabi me say obi say I don't cook galamsey wa bam na wonko me ma bam no na oda galamsey ni ho say ye ka obi an ka no ne de opa ye fa say politician bia behwe ni awia wo galamsey ase betu
because maybe to me feel because it was enko baby enko ka maybe dia me hu no na meka ho asem enso ne ensuo no a ye say no dia na bi akogire ma ye bobu dua wum say meka galamsey asem so dia say but e na be yi de hu na ya ya adwuma no a e be yi but ye ntie ni ese sika nti ye fu ene say ne ye be benefit from sika nti ye nya sabe asase ye fa na asase ya asase to me wom the elements of the world, the elements will be as well. Wind, all of them are elements. As spiritually, so you'll be highly inclined spiritually. Wouldn't say, and if they will start fighting for themselves, because if your politics are wying, because there I'm not for being here, politics. It will kind of say, me, I mean, the kind of threat that is on me, you know, and yeah, the ketwa. But once my father Moses and Becono, you know, I think that Kwahu pay. Now, say, no, Yahoo, it do good brain moon. Yahoo, to the good brain moon. Look at it, a Kwahu pay. Or that didn't used to be this way. It had not said a basaya. Sabi, you best say, Nananum, I am full. Police for the money. I am so happy say police for if you are say taking action. And then na so what you be the baby on coaching go for the site in here.
O constituency.
I think then here. Coaching go for them and my data e ho e ko twitwa we no money ade. It is a police for benya hoden na o match and go for no prosecute wo mo a. Be this our warning ade no we have the first hand responsibility to fight these things. We must say one more from Ashuro Monquano. But you see, beyond that matter, explode no. A big assassin move, assassin be a so. No money are they. These are things, sir. Sebi, a former good deal no ya dear. Will be anka say, my yentu. Ye be tua, yentu the quampasso. Yes, a woba be no. Now we'll fetch the Edia say, and near ma. Yes, you are benefiting from it because we bring on supply the water plant in Achimoda. Yeah, who will it you bring no direct. It's going to cost us money. Yeah, will tell you.
And we know over the last 2 years and and say it was something and they were editorial.
There was nothing like that. These are periods within. We side to we say baby 3-4 months.
3-4 months.
Yes.
And no the ISR no.
Momuko as I said this one ya grow. Some kwa as this one. Sa dey no illegal. One hwe dey di ba ho a. You have a pamum tom kwa gidigidi no ma o mai dey o me no menya dey o me no mko. And no be ko baby dey plant can say reclamation site. Ubeko ni etu. And it's all that's it. It's all over because that didn't used to be like that. Constituency secretary and watching now na e koso kaka. By here by some reason no it was protected.
Yes, and
then now what the whole area and we na ebopia omo e che so mo mfi oda. Maybe no mobile.
Now to why so na dey land na ma wo.
That is the problem. When they land the mom. You know, I am happy say we no police for akochiom. But now omo ye me interview. Na make us say November 16th last year. Ya chinkofobisa. Ebesi nne ye hu be their case now.
No mo feel down wa.
Almost feel down. You know, the arrest will be made, but sometimes the prosecution that follows no and aka. But the man kuna ye dey say politicians are involved. The police in the check, not politician penny freka say jainwa. So the police is handicapped because at the end of the day, no, we are there. You must respond to it. A woman say a be after much romunka. Omukope or Manuel Gianedi. Abugan, Nanaya, Adia Bakua, Sagaram say, I'm only 2 hours to see a gold board. Minus this a gold board, a board they bow, and so any. It is an Omukope gold on one. Omoya in such a way say, Sikaka crank over the bebois. Now, Omo active environment, no proper mining. Only to be invested because who invest here. But
that is not an excuse because first that gold board I don't think say now omo ye bi proper ka say yi can be ede aye no ne papemu. Illegal mining is illegal mining.
That's it. That is what they are saying now. We have to look at it. What they say. Yes, say they are complaining about the pricing of gold bond. Gold bond system will be almost a price. No? But if you engage the miners, that's what they tell you. Say, you gold border and bra mobre enya good year no. And come back at a certain amount.
But you sure say gold board is buying illegal?
You see, exactly. Oh, come on, neighbor, you see, I'm saying it to say no. When the term gold, no gold, you cannot do anything with it than to sell to gold board.
But we don't have any evidence. Do you have evidence? So the fact say man regularize and say, oh, this is the channel. Yen penny yen and smuggle gold and go outside. Doesn't mean say those mining illegally are selling their golds to them.
Illegal miners almost smuggle.
The illegal miners no the catch say they sell to gold border now.
Of course.
That wouldn't more.
I want me against
now only Galamsey for the
you say the people have been arrested.
Okay.
And Chenya Jawomo. You see them and they'll tell you. Yes, I know where they are.
Hey, now no they win ye binani baby or more.
And they come to me because me ask them Casado. And they come to me.
Won't you know your Galamsey advocate?
Galamsey advocate.
Because you are not
Galamsey advocate.
Galamsey for bound check.
That's true. More information.
And I work out on air.
Oh, because I never do a whole more. They say okay. It might not be palatable to government. What they say? Not at your kind air also, but I did say open solution.
But if there
are people here, special staff and the DOE, or no president Takachi. Bisan in some main fan to already. Bisan, but sometimes
so the Galamsey for, but they are comfortable to show their face that they are Galamsey.
And they tell you officially
we are Mashebedeni. Our women say on our shamra. Now with me illegality can come to legality. The NM mama.
And one here, Kobeka said the hour percentage.
Don't twist this one.
I'm not twisting.
I know what you are capable of doing. But I am helping you and your
illegal. What I know is even the Galamseyers and the components are more tech.
Exactly.
But for them to be bold enough to say to come to you, we don't appreciate our pricing.
Who doesn't know the Galamseyers in town? Everybody knows them, but the reality is that.
And I want to me and show more. Then why do you even end up blaming a president? Why I was saying that now
let me tell you what is happening.
Me too.
Me need to me and Marcus Galamsey ni answer. Near police kwa channel did not company.
You're a member of parliament.
And I said my parliamentary duties, and it's a my advocate. Me to be in court. Me see the police the Ankasa kwa channel. You're releasing.
Okay.
And I have written to the IGP. I have written to the divisional commander in my jurisdiction. Say I want details of those cases.
There been for now now then I want your number say my GP o petition on your MCS they say I ain't talk nan for ba ho mu tu Galamsey went me anka say me nua ma de amoye na nye nti no ye friend say me de mo beko
me so mo say problem
there be so jo ma na de ama because o mu ni mo ba ofi o ma nfre wan sa na o mo ba okay na wa ni so
don't trivialize
I'm not trivializing it.
Uba most of the Galamsey areas they are boys and opportunity to say carpenter ni afane tools or kwaya juma mason ya they are boys are my boss say jiggy boss say them first say medium findi no the net aboa o mo ko Galamsey site everybody sees them. But you see,
and I think say we say your concern I will raise here.
Yes.
And say it me pay attention
to
it because it's a good thing.
Let me say I am surprised Say we see winning way. Maybe you are not in any of the areas, but maybe you two galamsey. Openly move around with their tools. If the security knows where the people are. The security knows how to trace them. BNI for that's a speed to okay. But the reality is that who is involved when they say Chile?
Akwasu knows them.
I'm a member of parliament, but you want me
there be so now they wouldn't okay.
Near Ebebo NDC for Abaso. Any Kwanya Omafaso and manage the media landscape. Especially when it comes to issues of GOLDBOD. And oh dear. I say one. Share all the corporate institutions. Buying corporate institutions. Communicators on my point as corporate communications officers. Inti and yet ordinary trained communicators and as a journalists and a PRs and they are real politicians. Inti no handle issues a fee government in the one as a bar. Come first managing, and obviously, say any Ministry of Information, party communication, I didn't have cabo, and the managing fee President Takachi with that huge budget. The Felix or Jumapa or come first I saw media anymore. The Niema be below Honor NPP, APA Kuradua, come faso and massagino. Na enkoye ntino be discuss ya na eno wana no e na CS was ni bi nso no ye critical no ene omina no ayedi ti eno de ebo maba so betimi aye ne sa but da upon training obewu no eni ehu ne tenten ene se wo kwa scandal akọ NLA obenya scandal GOLDBOD there bebre various assemblies scandals in
so that's a GOLDBOD bebre with evidence.
I don't NLA now bisa GOLDBOD. Because NLA na GOLDBOD.
There are some of the NLA so no scandal.
So was a readily you ask of GOLDBOD.
No, so we maybe so. No topic. You know, most scandals bebre. But when you mention NLA, no one can say scandals bebre. So I wanted to note that bebre.
I don't say GOLDBOD here discussing.
No, so no one could GOLDBOD nkwa.
No abo. Me yes I make what I know and you want me the time now.
But don't be
to make us a wrap up.
Because it was one.
What we do me to kawasem.
Enti God will look us at and then you don't want to face the realities. But that's you. Fair they make us say never be say no. What's a that year you bet tablet na be magana for no because be do baby the media for muntimi enyo mosa how be ba bonti abeka me make up allegations 1 year ni afia ekobo medua asem no obi buy the high ehwe no afia kofu say anase we de nka bone anya na aban hwehwem ne you stigmati akra say we hu evidence into the aban hwehwe evidence ni amikra de etie die nipa no a ye kase wafa 200 million. You are sabi if onim na onim no.
Also onim no.
Onim no. Okay. 2 between aggregators and the tier 2 for no relationship buying and omowo and how do they handle their FS purchasing agreements because omowo relationship into no sika wo mo de to ediema ye pre-finance ana se ye pre-finance e yade a omo an no mo pom sika e de koto ana se etimi pre-finance re nie wayira no onu no nim bebia otete o se o she aba ye discuss it ye wia chief executive Sami Jemfi o se Sikibia and Yiraya. Further investigations, we will bring proofs. Na Enyama Echrese, Sikibia Yira. Na Uyi Wenua, Yentia, ensem efi gold board aso yeba ya yegidia ya kakrakra the current losses of gold board and the APM from IMF report to crash sana enye sika ye di 2D no more than whatever we were even saying and then 1.7. How many people are talking about it? I think I report nobody, but again ya pe kwa bi so massage sa information but you better do send your Ghana for we bia someone what do
okay
yeah jina unuka idea mu a be boa na o ka se o be defend obia that o many go say ni bi no e be come
honorable kwa my friend patro fache mama me 30 seconds bi on say confidential o post this same way on Facebook well. Within a matter of hours, now or the apology, retracting apology, no amma. Ideally, a lawyer like Kofi Bento's caliber should have humbly said, Sammy Jefi, I am sorry of tainting your image or something. But also the story I got was false and I have retracted. It is not enough, but at least we have accepted it. And then to say after this, now say honorable Aqua still exercise so I insist say Sikebia ira mama yemre enadia it doesn't help.
There be Kofi Bento or no actually the post. To say no okay or a lawyer into whatever evidence and the saka and they be obit me aka say to say no ma pull down the story.
Into one more evidence and no more than Kofi Bento there.
Abna enya busema mbai
me ni wo yesu yana na me mpesa wo yesu ya ai na makasa agenda wo de ni agenda wo susu de ni agenda wo agenda wo se na makasa ene mi
so no chere mi
ene mi timbe bi mi bogube yo na baba e ba jo mi
I cannot say it does not mean say the source of information I want any sabi senior and some never 2 years no ubi a babeja story whatever it is we'll peruse some more.
Okay,
we'll look at it because no kura say you be hunu the womb what I say what more than you as a media fidi or don't know that no advice say no be fi ho and your mind Ghana sika it is because we ho no mo you ho kwan say be can make say car gold board boy figure of the buyer na IMF abetom to no say sika na more than that me okay they make am so name say the IMF the figure for Faba.
So we say me
I am only you didn't come on.
No, can some tell me na me say
IMF report number say a car good board boy you know 1.7 billion. And so then I'm catch yen nano. What I say they be an independent friend saying independent analysis of some of these things are now you two foot be any media buy your media phone na die che say come body and so I am the aba
me das
we be echi no ho
okay nana abena na mera ho pon se my edi MPP for the media nya credible akosi akwa asama ma ko she dem aka so ho mo
why the say
well the media nya credible
no no asama ka say
because of chief
in the media. No, so we are managing a communication in the media.
Some of us can say media for some of the Hokro can you manage
chief Gumbi? Oh, the Biaba no Bobo Gumbis are and yet on a Baka, but your money quite no. What was I just on the mechanic? But oh, Obesa, you okay now, and then memoir. It's a memoir, though. Number one to our
in someone as I say media can or monka they massage the truth and it is unfortunate. It is massage it too. I want some kind of mature interpretation. Who call to your friends interpretation? What's the massage information? Who see a flower more and NPP for 2017 to 2024
Wakasi afa media for ejumo.
Awaka wante.
Ose mo communicators, mo na communicate mo na strictly political.
Ose
wakasi media for ejumo.
NDC afa.
Oh. Aso na ka utwa to so me
wo ka asem na se nyesa.
But untie
me tie wa se pa.
Ade and
Godwin. Godwin na ya kenti wo ka sa. But me say na say na political because of more members and I can say media for my members.
Listen, the corporate communication officers in so you are managing the information flow.
Yes. What's it that media for Juma?
No, but more media for Juma.
They said you'll be on country.
Mama media for Juma.
Oh, honorable Aqua. Nana Pacho
Casa Menyesi. I'm so you.
They say, I'm no ya prep dressing. Media Ghana say no credible because they have been compromised. Okay. To say it's more standard on. Abrago board that's a meteor be as you say some medium fear a target. What I say. And sometimes it is unfortunate. Or born a home modern aye juma. Maybe I want a very critical to the economy and he's done so well. Me sure say will be quite expected will be to me this marvelously well. Now a young one must say NDC NPP for anything that concerns the growth of the economy on Mumpe. Bibi biara intervention bi a wo de beto ho no on be gugu mu choko sana I find the loophole ebi ni ho kra they create it ever since ameje fitina akonya yi so ye na djuma ma Ghana ne ma ye ene gold for hwan ne e de baaye e kina ene sameje fi aden hwa abraye yetiwe discipline ana akokan o so ra no pakra de chire anytime de chire oba me alert information say you have to be disciplined, don't bring scandal.
Send the memo
every morning. Appointees me send my from chief of staff's office
until free zones mam no onyebi.
Oh Jesus. His Excellency Mahama or she baby a mutie ni preaching a ko preach wo sorry Sunday it was loaded munko GBT.
It was men ministry.
The immense ministry day. Intino obien who obey na
president mama dey preach.
Obien and no we preach. I don't want to time no obien I brother why desperate. Ya mama ne kase pia on stop.
No person be respond to no.
Intino we discipline there. Anya it doesn't Mahama on share techu. On share techu said and another share and call an techu.
Hey, don't say that. Don't say that. Or
discipline yen. Or train just ye. What's the michri? One share techu kura. Intino. Oh my dear name who said ever since a Sami started Juma, I see no much 1 month ye. Some way I dare not pay me chow.
Yeah.
Oh, 190 year pan make sure say on yasem. Abraham me meton ade. Me workshop. E do time bia me nkase se wo say IMF say oboka na say bi me koye me niema ni bebra spa say me to man we date no. Enya ka na mabon. But me dey kra dey me ankasa. Se okase IMF kase mo boso na IMF si wa boka mo amoka mo ka mo boy ye kura ye ntimi nka ma ye decide say ye equalize
ya de na ka mo boy man fa tuja
me say ye din say equalize IMF kan I don't think na wo ji IMF die ni di cha wo krom ni ukrom ni ono ti ade no IMF no collect data worldwide
mo mo ye hunu
na mo ka no kure
mo mo ye hunu kure
me pa jo me makofa ma ene me pese me ko mo ka no kure say obi more mutimi be TV so say Ghana ye very graceful country ye mpese ye ni beggu ase e wa ye nkwa IMF da ye so ya no pa na say IMF a few minutes later
me nko na makwa problem no ye tro
enye tro na ye tro
be ka be hwe the situation me nko
onu bo akwa na we say na
so no mo ka tro sami janfi no mdine eni esi ne so batu de nyame ahia no no ahira no with the eagle eyes so with the snake eyes so with the whatever eyes I would hwe no a de nyame ahia no no ahira no
okay
waye na juma from party time ever be seen as a communications director be seen waye na juma kama everybody will attest to the fact sami wo hunu awo
to say there is no see the juma here communication director mo
Nana,
raising standard. I'm telling you.
Hey,
the bar is high.
And I'm
raising bar. We must be able to maintain
it. Press conference or guarantee sites.
Nana.
The good thing is almost a good communications person. Ade a wo ya and say speedy response. Waba out ababa be cancel entisa wa chichirim. Cratch na ade a wa ya even no go board aye dey wo ma take action towards the matter. Ade baby o mo ko obitimi ye bone ma bona baso. Obitimi ye bone ye pese e be ko ye pese e be equalize. We dey waba wa taking steps into mo na baso say se bibi say because we are see aye we ye won krofo bi a wo ye dan a obeba ba be hawo but obeba ha adwe no wanya no kwa ne license a we breach conditions of the license na nipa no do asembe tu dwa no cross me pacho ne na wu si musen
the one dey asembe tu dwa
ono do obetro Facebook no
also no try ne dey
but what actually transpired between a aggregator no and tier 2 I
don't want to get there.
Yes,
business people.
Yes,
what you say?
But most concern is so breaching the laws of
exactly. The point is they say no buy your adwuma. Yimra taking the course. No kwa na mo yemre nim fo am kuta lawyer for degree akese mo she kotu akese. Mo she kotu akese.
Wait, asema wuke no. Asema wuke no.
Mo she kotu akese. Asema wuke no. Asema wuke no.